In this video, we will practice how to predict the sign of your answer or your sum when you're adding sign numbers. Let's start off with a problem. Negative 71,896 plus 56,692,785. Wow, this looks complex. But remember, you only have to predict the sign. You don't actually have to do the calculations. Let's think about how we would predict the sign. If you think about the models that we used, we could draw red and green dots. So if we were drawing red dots for this, we could say, oh, we have 71,896 red dots and 56,692 blah 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 green dots. And once they start canceling each other out, all of these will get cancelled and there will still be some green dots left over, which means you have more positive than negative, so you will have positive left over. So the sign for the sum of these two numbers will be positive. Another way to think about this is the absolute value of this number, of the positive, is more than the absolute value of the negative number. So the negative number will get cancelled out and you'll still have some positive left over. And if you think about your bank balance, imagine that you had an overdraft or a loan of 71,896, which is your negative bank balance. And somehow you hit a jackpot and you deposited $56,692,785 in your bank account. So your loan will get wiped out and you will now have a positive bank balance. Let's do one more problem. Let's say we have 81.496 plus negative, what do we say, 1,000. Now you'll see that you have a lot more negative than positive. This is just somewhere between 81 and 82, while the negative is negative 1,000, and the negative will wipe out the positive and you'll still have some negative left over. So the answer for this will have a negative sign. And if you're thinking about bank balances, imagine that you have $81 and, well, you can't have 496, but $81.50 in your bank account, and you withdraw $1,000 or you take a loan of $1,000. Now your bank balance is wiped out and you now owe the bank some money, so you have a negative bank balance. Let's look at one more problem. This is kind of fun. If you don't actually have to do the calculations and just predict the sign, it's not that difficult. Let's see, 2.5 plus negative 3/4. Fractions. What do we do with these? Again, the same logic. The absolute value of 2.5 is more than the absolute value of negative 3/4. So if you were to draw red and green dots, so these are green, some green dots, and this will be some red dots. But the red dots, this is not even a hole. You can't even draw a whole red dot. So this will get wiped out by the green dot and you will have a positive number left over. Now let's do one last problem. Negative 4.56 plus negative 64,781. What do we do in this case? We have one number is negative and the other number is also negative. So both numbers are negative, which is different from these three problems. In these three problems, one number was negative and the other number was positive, and so they were canceling each other out and something was left over. But in this problem, both the numbers are negative, which means if we were to represent this with our red and green dots, we have some red dots here and we have a lot more red dots here. But there is nothing to cancel each other out, and therefore you'll only have red dots, more red dots. So your answer will be negative. And if we were thinking about our bank balance, imagine that you have two accounts. On one account, you have an overdraft of $4.56, and on the other account, I don't know if you would be allowed an overdraft of $64,781, but imagine that you had a loan of $64,781. So what you owe the bank is both of these loans or overdrafts put together. Basically, when you are predicting the sign, if one number is negative and one number is positive, then whichever number has the highest absolute value, that number wins, and your answer will have that sign, the sign of the number that has a higher absolute value. And if both numbers are negative, then your sum will also be negative.